Yeah, we're on the dot.
We're on the dot. Hello and welcome everybody for what is a really, really dramatic end to this week. And you all know what I'm talking about. It's Ghulam Nabi Azad, of course, senior veteran political functionary in the Congress party, has in his own letter outlined very clearly the number of years that he spent with the party, certainly before I was even born. So he's been there for a long, long time. And has worked with everyone from Sanjay Gandhi, who brought him into politics, I believe, to Indira Gandhi, then on, who told him to fight an election from Maharashtra, being a Kashmiri, which he won subsequently. Then on to Rajiv Gandhi, Sonia Gandhi, and of course Rahul Gandhi, where it all came apart. So he's essentially worked with, what is it, five different Gandhis, was known to be one of their staunchest loyalists, worked very closely with them, had great access to them. And he's basically just today tossed in the towel. 40 plus years of being out there in the trenches in various positions, various capacities. He said that he's had active participation in electioneering in every state in this country. So that's some experience. And he's tossed in the towel, and with him, he's taken a couple of other people from Jammu and Kashmir who are following him out. And there's been a lot of buzz about maybe he'll start his own political party or launch it. He's, of course, somebody well into his 70s. So we'll have to wait and watch and see how that develops. There has been a lot of talk, of course, about the old guard making way for the new guard, so to speak. A new guard, which Sandeep Azad has called a coterie of sycophants. He's not holding back, is he?
No, he isn't. But to be fair, Congress was always ruled by coterie. But only, I recall Manishankar Iyer once saying that if you ever get into the Congress a sort of a waiting room, you'll find 10 people waiting to get in and 10 people coming out. So that's been a churn always. So there has been a coterie. But it's a manner of, you have a coterie, but how you deal with them. As he was saying, that when you have people of certain caliber, certain, gravitas, you have them, take their opinion, and it's also a feeling of how do you value their opinion. Those are
Mm,
important things. Right now, the kind of people who are around are certainly don't make the cut. And that's the point which people are missing. And it's not just the old guard. I was on a show just before this where I mentioned, okay, Ghulam Nabi Azad may be old guard. Yesterday, who Jaivesh
Cherish
Shergill,
Shergill.
he is certainly by no definition old guard. RPN saying, Jitendra Prasad, your Jyotiraditya Scindia, none of these people are old guard. So it's a
Mm,
combination of thing, and people who have some degree of ambition and think that they can contribute more. Why should they in today's world? Be it in corporate or be it in political life, why will you hang on to an organization? Earlier, people did. I've worked in some family organizations. Somebody will say, my granddad worked, my dad worked, and but when you're coming to the
I take
grandson,
pride in that.
he's
Yeah.
not going to be beholden to the Seth or the Babu to say that I'll be hanging around till
Yeah.
you ask me to leave. So that is I think that's what they're not picking up. And
But Sandeep, just to play the devil's advocate here, politics is one profession where people don't necessarily retire. They just hang in there till the very end. And it's hard for new people to make space, for new ideas to come in, because the older generation is refusing to give up. People mock the BJP a lot and say Margdarshak Mandal and this and that. But in the BJP, you do see this churn where, senior leaders are kind of moved on to advisory positions or out of the active role. But in the Congress, they were not able to do this. So maybe the Rahul Gandhi and gang are actually very happy to see this exit, because this is something that they've been wanting for a while, and certainly have been creating the circumstances for people to leave on their own. I'm talking about the old guard. I mean, it's another matter that even the young lot has left.
yeah. So old guard, when you're saying that's true, nobody likes to fade away. But there are sometimes there's a mismatch of ambition versus, your the reality or your caliber. So you have an example of a Yashwant Sinha who had that huge mismatch. But whereas, say, a Murli Manohar Joshi, he may have been unhappy, but as long as he's given that respect, given that position, he is willing to carry on as an elder statesman. And some of these people, their sons, grandson, or whosoever gets accommodated, so they're happy. Now, Ghulam Nabi, if you see in Congress also the older generation, it's not that in Sonia Gandhi's time or earlier they have not benched some of the older people. But as long as those people who are benched, they still don't feel as outsiders. They still have an excess, when they want to go and talk to the president because they are respected from that time. So they carry on. So you find even today, Natwar Singh has not really left the Congress, so to speak, or even say Mani Shankar Iyer or any of them. And some of them, okay, live in hope that someday they may be called back and given some role somewhere, if nothing else, made a governor. So those sort of things happen. People stay around if you don't really have another. But today, I think when you hear Captain Amarinder, Amarinder knew Rahul, Priyanka as kids because he was with Rajiv Gandhi in Doon School. He came, but suddenly if you find that you can't speak to this young man whom you knew as a child, and even his mother tells him that sorry, now no longer, I can't help you. It's Rahul who is calling the shots. Thank you very much, Amarinder. So that is the thing. We have this mobile lady who, she's always on the move and joining
Always
us.
on. But today's like this is like, I mean, she's like you rightly
These
pointed
young people
out.
have some work to do since morning.
Yeah, yeah. And this is kind of no work. This is just kind of the
Chilling.
recreation. We get it. Yeah, we get it.
You're making personal comments just the way Ghulam Nabi Azad did.
No, no, we are not saying that. Okay, and especially your friends are not here, so we'll say it, Abhijita or Mitra. So for us, we are
They are
not
coming over, by the
interesting.
way, to discuss this topic. The two of them have
Now
decided.
it's Rahul Gandhi.
One is
Pallavi,
with Rahul Gandhi.
where are you coming from? I know today's must have been a really busy day for you.
But one of them is
Yeah,
in
it
London
was
with Rahul
actually.
Gandhi, na?
Huh?
One of them is in London with Rahul Gandhi, or has he returned? No, he's returned
Both
to the
of them.
union.
No, no, both the mother and both the children are away into
No, I'm talking of
London.
Suhail Seth, who was in London also. But today, somewhere I saw
No, no,
some
no.
news about airport, so
Suhail
maybe
Seth,
also.
Suhail Seth is very much here in Delhi because I see him on Facebook back in Delhi, back in Pune, back in London, those kind of stuff.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Go ahead. Now
He
give us the go inside what's
give
happening.
us the
So I think this was kind of waiting to happen. And I know this letter was drafted not just by Azad. I did speak to Kapil Sibal also, who completely distanced himself that I don't want to talk about it and all that. But see, Sibal, Azad, Anand Sharma, these three people have been meeting. So I suspect, and I was told that this was something, a joint letter which was drafted. And if you look at it, it is not a coincidence. Both Azad and Anand Sharma quit from the committees. I mean, one from the steering committee, one from the screening committee, and both of them saying the same thing. They're humiliated. So I'm waiting to see whether Anand Sharma also is going to quit, inevitably or not, because they have been trying to placate him. Rajiv Shukla has been dashed off, and it's Sukhvinder Singh Sukhu, who's the a person over there. He is very open about the fact that it's not that it doesn't matter that like Anand Sharma may not be a grassroots politician, but in terms of perception, it's going to go down very badly. Like our example of captain. I mean, though those seats will be impact per jai because you keep on abusing Rahul Gandhi, you attack the Gandhis. That's what they were worried about. But I still think it's a matter of time. Anand Sharma will eventually leave the Congress party because
Yeah.
see the
Pallavi,
grievances
I'll
of all these
interrupt you
people.
for a second. One telling
Huh?
point in Nabi Azad's letter, he somewhere says something plural, more people like us, some of us, something to that effect. He says, who may be leaving or we may be, stepping away, something to that effect. He's clearly hinting it's more than him, more than one person. While we talk, I'll try to get out that word, but he actually mentions that, I think, in the fifth page. Go ahead.
I
Sorry.
think there will be more people. I think they're just going to look for the right time. And it's also at states which are going to go for elections are, or eventually like Kashmir is, Gujarat, Himachal is where Anand Sharma, of course. So I don't think he's going to be the only one. I think they have planned. I think there's a strategy. Azad is a big blow. Because see, today you asked me this question, Sandeep, earlier when the Ajay Baka did the press conference. Advaita, that was a press conference which they had done mega planning for. Because I know that there were senior leaders in the Congress party who were sending SMSs to some of us, ki, please come for the press conference, get it covered. But just imagine that press conference where he had documents and all to show and expose the Aam Aadmi Party. Just bang 5 minutes before that, you had this letter bomb. And how embarrassing, because, I know Jairam Ramesh has been going on and on about, we are working on Bharat Jodo Yatra. But, I'm just going to, you both can say this better, but I'm just finding the reaction of the Congress party so churlish and childish. Now, if in the BJP, someone quits the party, a spokesperson or one or two people will come out with a statement and the matter ends there. But here, they're digging out old, they're taking up pictures of the Prime Minister crying, and they're saying, ki tabhi bike, and someone like a Jairam Ramesh also tweeting that. I don't think that is something I think could have been avoided. And then, digging out old pictures and sound bites of Ghulam Nabi Azad and insinuating he's going to join the BJP. As I tweeted also, Jairam has spoken, you got Digvijay, you got Ashok Gehlot to speak. But, you can't go on and on Twitter. And then once again, it adds up to this perception that if Gandhis ke baare mein kisi ne bol diya, to hum to pagal hi ho jate hain. That's the perception once again. It's all about the Gandhis.
With the amount of quitting that's going on, you think they'd have a playbook by now, and
I have a feeling I'll have a party, no party to cover, yaar. After some time, matlab I jaungi to koi hoga hi nahi Congress ka, the way it's going. But very bad time for them, because they have already postponed the presidential elections for a week or two. Tomorrow is a Congress working committee meeting. They are supposed to come out with a schedule. And here you have, there are people who are still pushing for Rahul Gandhi to become the president. No? Ghulam Nabi Azad, aisa bol ke gaya, I don't know. And the worst part is that there are many people who actually agree with what Ghulam Nabi Azad is saying. It's just that they won't say it openly, because they too have, I find it really hypocritical that many of the ones who are pointing a finger at Azad saying, inko sab kuch mil gaya, jab ye nahi mila, this is the reason why he is attacking. And they are also the same people who are defending Rahul Gandhi, are the same ones who've been pleading and hoping to get something, a Pavan Kheda.
And to say that to anybody, Pallavi, let's say if you're leaving your organization tomorrow, and somebody says, Pallavi ko to itna mila tha is organization, that's very, it comes across very cheap. And this thing, nobody gives, it's never a one-way traffic. You could have been working in an organization, you have given as much to the organization as the organization has given to you. You don't say suddenly when you're quitting that, we made her a star, which she became suddenly, she joined us as a reporter, she left us as an editor, as if that was a favor done to you. If you have become an editor there, you have become out of your hard work, ability, caliber, and all the rest. So that you don't say. And say Ghulam Nabi Azad at the end of the day, or even an Anand Sharma, though some of us also criticize saying that they don't have any grassroots, but the service they have rendered as backroom through the thick and thin is nothing to be, you cannot be ungrateful for that. I was reading somewhere that when he was made the Youth Congress president after Sanjay Gandhi, the party didn't have any money, and he was actually living on milk and banana, which Rashid Kidwai has written, that which really spoiled his gut, and he had this problem subsequently because of those periods. They've gone through all of that. And whom did they go through? It's for the party at large. Certainly they got something, but it's not, they're not falling in the category of what Javier Shalgil told you yesterday. Congress हमारा घर है, लेकिन कुछ लोग ऐसा है जिसका घर कांग्रेस से चलता है. I thought that was a very, very hard-hitting statement. He certainly doesn't belong to that category जिसका घर कांग्रेस से चलता है.
Yeah, that's the other thing. They're not holding back anymore. In fact, he made a point, and this brings me back to Pallavi's point that, there was more than one person who drafted that letter. Because he did say, the omissions and commissions of the Gandhi family have been like fought in the courts of law by Kapil Sibal, who, when he exited, was again like kind of put through the same sort of, kind of ridicule and all of those things. So they're also making a point with these letters. This is like saying the things that they wanted to say for so long, and almost like it's going to be Pallavi. You're saying there'll be more exits. Maybe it's going to be timed, these exits, so that the impact is kind of I guess like a Sutli bomb. I don't know what else to call it.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, as I said, I don't think it was just off the cuff. I think it was very much planned. I mean, he resigns from the committee. He keeps quiet. See, the last time I saw Ghulam Nabi Azad inside the AICC headquarters was actually on the day when Sonia Gandhi was being interrogated by ED. And as a part of her strategy, she had insisted that all the seniors like Anand Sharma, Ghulam Nabi Azad, all of them turn up, and Chidambarams, and all of them turned up at the AICC, and they kind of say bye to her when her car crosses by. So that was the messaging, that Sonia Gandhi values the elders. But I think it's all very planned. It was very well thought out, because now many words come back to me. I remember when Mr. Kapil Sibal quit, and I did an interview with him that day. And after the interview, he tells me कि आगे आगे देखो होता है क्या Pallavi, people are not going to keep quiet in the party. Some leave, some will stay, and some will be forced to leave. So I think even Anand Sharma is slowly moving towards that. It may not happen immediately. For all you know, it may happen just before the Himachal elections, or on a day when the Prime Minister is there, or when Mr. JP Nadda is there. So these are all, they've got and let's not forget, people like Anand Sharma, Sibbals, Ghulam Nabi Azad, they are master strategists as far as the party organization goes. And second thing is, and Sandeep, my objection, what Rashid Kilwai wrote, I wrote earlier, and you did not, and I wrote that article last year. Bread and butter, and on good days, he used to get mutton from Kashmir, and he used to get that made by his cook, and roti, but that was like once in 6 months. You may apologize later.
The day we invited you, we got the special one cook. I can understand,
Funny.
Bengali journalist. But Pallavi, cutting back to this page, second last paragraph, he writes, some of my other colleagues and I will now persevere to perpetuate the ideals of So he's clearly saying some of my other colleagues and I. So therefore, there are certainly more than him he is hinting at. And it couldn't be just the people who have left or, so maybe people are, and he has mentioned about G23 and the rest of it earlier. So maybe, you're talking about, I don't know what somebody like a Manish Tiwari is going to do. And see the insecurity of the Congress. As soon as Manish Tiwari smiles at Narendra Modi, immediately speculation starts as to why did he meet him. And, he says, come of it. He's come to my constituency. I need to go and meet him. Whatever it is, but, that is the level of insecurity today. Oh, if they see someone smiling at Pallavi, they think that, they are also quitting.
I think, Pallavi, you think they saw Azad's exit coming, or were they taken aback? Is Pallavi there? Can you hear us?
Yeah. No, this point, I'll just quickly come to a point which Sandeep you've made. I have noticed this something on the Gandhis, okay? Mamata Banerjee, even in her worst situations, if the Prime Minister, she comes to meet the Prime Minister, or she meets the Prime Minister in the Parliament, she'll at least make this whole drama of greeting him and all that kind of stuff. Even Kejriwal will do it, despite the animosity. You have to observe, and I'm sure you people must have observed, when Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi come across the Prime Minister, they will not even look at him. I remember there was this first, that Ramayan thing, the Sera ke din, that Ram Leela mein tab hua karta tha. And it's very ceremonial also that the Prime Minister gets up, and that bow and arrow ko karte hain, wo Dr. Manmohan Singh would do it. There was one time when the Prime Minister gets up to do it, and Sonia was standing next to him because she had done it just before him. He looks at her and smiles. She just looks away and walks away. That's the degree of animosity. See. So a party like this, where the Gandhis have this very stiffness when it comes to the Prime Minister, I'm not surprised if they see a Manish Tiwari shaking hand with the Prime Minister, being seen as, oh, you're going to a Modi side. Look at Jairam Ramesh's tweets. Look at the old pictures that they're digging out. The Congress is distributing from its social media handle of Prime Minister crying and taking pot shots. They don't understand that in politics, there are certain political curtsies which have to be followed. And to answer your question about whether the Congress knew it was coming, I'll tell you what happened. I was sitting inside the AICC headquarters when Jairam, Ramesh and all of them were debriefing. News came that Jaivir has resigned. I told him. He says he's not even a spokesperson. I said, no, but there's a letter where Randeep Surjewala appoints him as a spokesperson. For a good hour, they didn't know that Jaivir has resigned. I went to Jaivir's house. We did an interview. Or hamare samne, there were frantic calls coming. Why have you resigned? Why have you resigned? See, some things you have to see it's coming. Like Anand Sharma and all of that, they should know it's coming. But the point is, I don't think they want to stop beyond a point of time, because why should we stop them? What is Congress distributing in the social media handle? That speech of Rahul Gandhi. The ones who want to go, let them go. So the message is very clear. If Anand Sharma is watching it, he'll think, main chala hi jaun. And very quickly, because I know I'm speaking a lot, but Manish Tiwari, I don't think he's going to leave now, because he's a Lok Sabha MP. That's the difference. He'll stick on. But mujhe lagta hai ki he thinks he knows that he may not get a ticket. So I think then you will see him kind of switch over wherever.
No, see, if having a Lok Sabha seat is actually to his advantage, because he can get into this grey zone again, that he has left the party or he is not taking any position and he is in a grey zone. So then the party has to expel him, and expelling him means one more seat down in Lok Sabha. And if they have to go for by-elections, there is no chance Congress is going to win that seat. So that will change dramatically if they expel him. So anyway, Manish Tiwari may or may not quit, but I don't see, just by hanging on, how is he, it's helping him per se. So that's the other question out there.
Also,
But disappointment with Advaita, this Jairam Ramesh Pawan Khera team is, I think they are, if you were to compare, to some extent, I think Randeep Surjewala, we used to find him maybe tedious, but he maintained that courtesy level higher. I don't think he would have, made such a crass point with this prime minister's crying or this and that. That these people, the way they are going at every thing, I think they I've been disappointed, particularly by Jairam Ramesh. He comes from the old stock, and for him to get so below the belt was personally, I've been surprised. Sorry, Advaita, please go on.
The other thing that Azad has mentioned in his letter is that he's actually cast aspersions on the presidential elections that the Congress has been talking about. He's saying that it's going to be some sort of proxy who's going to be placed there. Two things out of that. Of course, it's revelatory that there's not much sanctity and in that whole process in the first place, and he's calling it out. The other thing is, of course, Pallavi, you can maybe answer this, that Ashok Gehlot's name has been doing the rounds. Do you think there's a little bit of a heartburn there, political ambition, wherein why not Azad as president of Congress?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, even among the senior ones and the older ones, there are some who have been given a lot of importance. Like, for example, Digvijay Singh being made a part of the agitation committee, he chairs that committee. And therefore, the micromanagement of the Bharat Jodo Yatra is going to be by Digvijay Singh. I'm sure it hurts. I don't know if you guys heard the soundbite. In fact, it's a statement which has been released by Digvijay Singh before this show began. Advaita, he begins by saying he 1970, and he's a very smart guy. So he says in 1977, Ghulam Nabi Azad contested from Kashmir and lost. In 1977, I contested elections and I won. So this is that heartburn moment. Certainly, I'm sure Ghulam, at our workplace also, if I feel I'm being sidelined and someone who's in my generation there is being given importance, I guess a bit of that. But I don't know. Even as a political, and it's not my job to tell a political party what they should do, but I'm really baffled. I'm not even a politician, right? We only meet politicians. All you have to do is pick up the phone and talk when someone is upset. And I'm sure if they had done that, I don't think it would come to what it is today. But here they get brazen, they get churlish. Why should we talk to them? They don't deserve it. And now you see there'll be that cabal. The same 5, 6 people will keep on tweeting. They'll make fun of him. And the next person who leaves. And this thing, I think, Sandeep, you tweeted this. This thing about, okay, we've given him so much. What do you mean we've given him so much? You don't give in a political party. It's a give and take. And laughable was one Congress leader tweeting to say, replying to me that Wardha, where he contested from, was a safe seat. So no big deal if he won. And he won because it was a safe seat. भाई तुम राहुल गांधी का भूल गए क्या अमेठी वो क्या है I mean, and he lost from a safe seat, right? And if I would have tweeted that, I'm telling you, these people would have started calling me up, or Jairam would have called me up, they would have called me a bhakt. But this is how it works there. I'm
See,
very
some of them
agitated.
also being more loyal to the others. So therefore, followers which you're seeing everyone trying to pull down. Ghulam Nabi is trying to prove to again the family that we are as loyal. There must have been some indication from there. Okay, go after him. So everybody's trying to go after him. But Advaita, I don't think the Gehlot issue is so much of a heartburn. I think there is a genuine point. Everybody knows the way at least Gehlot has also been behaving of late. He's just going to be a titular head, and I think that is the whole funny thing. Rahul Gandhi not wanting to become president is not because he's a great act of sacrifice like a Sonia Gandhi had done, so-called not becoming prime minister. He basically doesn't want to take responsibility. He doesn't want to be held back saying you can't go for your holiday because there is some thing happening here. He'll tell, "Oh, the president ka kaam hai, Gehlot sahab, aap chale jaiye." He can go on his holiday. It's a bit like that. And where, yeah, Digvijay, he will feel that, today Digvijay Singh is coming back everywhere. On one hand, you say the old guard, but then some of these sycophants find their way back. That's how Jairam Ramesh has come in and everybody else. So that could be a heartburn out there. You have sort of sidelined me and you give me something, being a campaign committee chairman or something of Jammu and Kashmir, which is, I had done that, seen that and done that 50 years ago.
Union territory right now also. That's the other thing, right? It's a union territory as well right now. It's not like a full-fledged state either. But Pallavi, so what are the power dynamics at present in the Congress, which is making people like so powerful, like Azad and people like that, feel so out of sync with what's going on? So what's the power dynamic? Who holds the power?
Okay, despite the fact that Sonia is the interim president and Rahul Gandhi is not the president, but look at the Bharat Jodo Yatra promos, it's only about Rahul Gandhi. Now, if you look at the power dynamics, they're all people who are considered to be close to either Rahul Gandhi or to Priyanka Gandhi Vatra. So, for example, K.C. Venugopal. See, here, this is where the Shashi Tharoor factor comes in. That man has won from Thiruvananthapuram thrice over. Tough seat. And he still doesn't know whether he's going to be given the fourth time round, a ticket. I mean, he often says that I don't know if I'll get a ticket, and then he dismisses it off. And Shashi Tharoor has now become a person in himself. I mean, he's not seen only as a Congress leader. He is Shashi Tharoor. That's what has happened. And this is something that the Gandhis don't like. So you have Rahul Gandhi spending days and traveling through Kerala and going to Thiruvananthapuram, but he doesn't meet Shashi Tharoor. Shashi Tharoor doesn't come there. So who are his favorites? K.C. Venugopal. In fact, Rahul Gandhi once told us that Shashi Tharoor, K.C. Venugopal is a street fighter. So that's one thing. And then there's Jairam Ramesh, again handpicked by, he's actually pretty close to Sonia Gandhi also, but he's someone who has been handpicked by Rahul and Priyanka. So you have Srinivas, you have a Manikam Tagore, you have Jyoti Mani. These are the people who are, even Ajay Makan. So that's a new group which has emerged in the Congress party, and Digvijay Singh, of course, has bounced back.
Yeah, and yesterday I think Jeremy also said the same thing which everybody else says. It is the extreme left, the far left people who are, that's the cabal, what they say, the JNU cabal kind of a thing, which is today calling the shots, and who have got forget any roots, but they don't have any political experience. They're just very theoretical and bookish. They are the people who, so that is where, much of that grievances has been there, Advaita. If you recall, I was seeing an interview of Rita Bahuguna. At that point in time, even she said that was what was happening. The people who are calling her up and everything, she says they are all the JNU kinds who have no idea of what's UP or anything, and they're giving me instructions from there that this is what you ought to do or not do. So when people are asking her that, would you go back to Congress, she says, there's no place for me out there, or people like us there. So
Yes, but the other interesting thing is that people who were considered very close to the party, and I'm talking about the younger generation here. If you recall, between 2004 and 2014, the 10 years that the UPA was in power, Jyotiraditya Scindia, Jitin Prasad, RP Singh, these were all like the young Turks of the Congress party, very much in the mix. All ministers had status, had power, had access. So what's the real story here is what I get curious about. Was it a question of the Gandhis not giving them access? Was it a question of insecurity in terms of ensuring that there is a certain sequence, so to speak, of taking the throne? What I mean, is it a combination of these things? Because even when they leave the party, they don't necessarily talk about the fact that Sonia Gandhi definitely wants Rahul Gandhi to lead. I think
I think
Azad
that's
has
what
been the
I'm saying. As soon as
clear
they
about.
see the competition, people. So why, they're dilly-dallying with the Sachin pilot for so long? Everybody knows he was unhappy, is still unhappy, and they go on playing the Ashok Gehlot Sachin pilot. For they're doing it for the last now 3 years, 4 years, since what Ghulam Nabi Azad was talking today after that 2019 defeat. Priyanka Gandhi had almost insulted Ashok Gehlot at that point in time, saying he was working for his son more than the party. Today they have reinstated him. They're not giving Sachin Pilot uh, anything of consequence. So whenever they perceive anybody, and that's been an old Gandhi trait, I think, that whenever they perceive anybody could become a threat, you kind of neutralize them. And so, as you said, it's unthinkable somebody like Jyotiraditya Scindia could not get an audience with Rahul.
And that's something I think when he quit, also Rahul Gandhi did try to dismiss that and said that that's he's always open, he's always accessible. But again, like too many people are saying this, right? It's not just one person who's saying it. J.V. Shergill also, I think, has said that he waited for a year to get an appointment with the Gandhis and eventually didn't. And Himanta Biswa Sharma had that famous story, with his meeting with Rahul Gandhi.
Yeah. But you see where the disconnect or the what you'll call you might say the hypocrisy of it comes in. Rahul Gandhi went to Telangana and said, "Okay, you guys should not be speaking here. Anybody to the press. If you have something to say, come to Delhi. We'll listen to you." If somebody goes to Delhi and thereafter they don't get to even see the chowkidar as a security guard, then what does one do? So that is where they're themselves creating that. If they genuinely meant it, okay, somebody will come and get an audience for what is worth. They will feel good and walk away. But if you're saying that in Telangana, don't talk to anybody, you come to Delhi, and then you come to Delhi and you meet a wall, and it doesn't quite connect.
Yeah,
I think
I was reading Pallavi's article today, and she mentioned Jagdambika Pai, right, Opal, who went to meet Rahul Gandhi and got an audience, and they rode in the car together without a word exchanged, and he got off at his house and said bye.
Yeah, I saw it. I was there. I was following him. So they finally met him in the corridor. Then Jagdambika Pal tells Rahul Gandhi कि बहुत दिन से मैं वेट कर रहा हूँ आपका स्टाफ मुझे अपॉइंटमेंट नहीं दे रहा है. So Rahul Gandhi says, अच्छा, is that so? आप बैठो मेरे साथ गाड़ी में. So he sits in the car. The moment he sits in the car, Rahul Gandhi takes out his BlackBerry because he had a BlackBerry at that point. Constantly on the phone from Parliament to 12 Tughlaq Lane, 7 minutes drive. 7 minutes में he gets down from the car. अच्छा जगदम्बिका जी फिर मिलते हैं. And Jagdambika Pal didn't know what to do. He came back in my car and he said, मैं क्या बोलूं?
He didn't
this
even
was
have a right
Sachin.
back.
No, this
I gave
was
him a
7 minutes.
lift back.
I have read this about, I don't know, Pallavi can find out if it was true that when he traveled to Kachhad with Shushmita Dev, and that was a long drive on this thing, throughout the drive, he was on his two phones, either,
Yeah.
messaging or talking, and he didn't speak to her at all on that almost a 2 hour drive.
But doesn't he look disinterested? I've seen him on stage so many times, in rallies and campaign trails and all. He's constantly on the phone. And I still remember once, I'm not remembering who it was. Was it Pranab Mukherjee when he was the president? There was some function and he was sitting next to Sonia Gandhi. And I remember Sonia had to kind of nudge him to sit down because he was getting up and leaving as the moment the event was over. And that was Sonia nudging him to sit down because I think the president had to leave first. I still remember Mamata Banerjee doing a joint press conference with Rahul Gandhi at the Constitution Club. And I think Sonia was not well or something. And, she was speaking about we'll work together. And that was the UPA times. So she comes, she sits with him. The two of them talk. And in the middle of the press conference, he says, okay, Mamata ji, I have
Yes, this
Pallavi.
is. It's both disinterest and, as Ghulam Nabi Azad says, immaturity. It's that sense of entitlement. That's what people are, keep on saying. Even if you all those pictures with BJP, Amit Malviya keeps flashing about how Manmohan Singh was asked to move aside for Sonia Gandhi. So that
Yeah.
kind of runs, I suppose, in the family, and you cannot really change that overnight. If they have, that sort of a royalty for so many generations.
The other thing also that Ghulam Nabi Azad and Pallavi would probably be able to answer this more effectively. So we'll ask this when she comes back. She's in a car, so she's obviously lost signal somewhere. But he says that he was humiliated in CWC meetings, and he was also kind of told off, that called a traitor. There was a funeral carried out of his when
That
he
was
took.
after P23 when that was rebellion was happening. He said that some
Yeah.
people did that effigy burning or funeral or something, and Rahul Gandhi, instead of condemning it, apparently the guys who carried it out must have been this Ajay Makan's group or whoever did it. He said they were later on not
Fettered,
felicitated, but
that's yeah.
yeah, he kind of received them. So, but that was true, as we said that even after 2019, that particular meeting of CWC where Priyanka Gandhi took on the rest, saying that none of you supported Rahul. Rahul was
Yes,
fighting alone, um,
alone.
and uh, and somebody
But look at
she
look at his three kind of key things. One was Chaukidar Chor Hai, which was a complete disaster. Then there
But
was
he thought
Raphael.
it was a great success. The funny thing is, he had no clue. If you remember the last it's a rally somewhere in Rajasthan, Junjunu or somewhere, which Srinivasan Jain was getting his full interview, and there was this other girl, a junior reporter from some other channel. She came, and Rahul, with great deal of pride, said that आपने बोला था ना मुझे कि ये रग रग में घुस गया, this चौकीदार चोर है. And that girl was very embarrassed. She said, नहीं नहीं आके बोलिए. She pulled her in front of the camera, because he was at that time genuinely believing that it's all done and dusted. So even that press conference which he did at the last day of campaign, and he did it, I think, after Modi and all. He said, "Oh, they did a press conference. Good beginning. Nice. At least they've done something." Because he
There's
didn't ask.
obviously an issue with truth telling here, because I don't think a lot of people are telling him the truth. They're still telling him what he wants to hear. And I think therein lies one of the biggest problems of the Congress, really, is that, that the people who are making an attempt of it are either exiting or being shown the door or being sidelined or frowned upon, and all of those things, which is kind of really a slippery slope for the Congress at this point of time. And one really wonders if they're going to be able to climb out of this
No,
crevice. I mean,
what
Pallavi did say in her article the only answer they can give the G23 is really to come back and win elections. But
No, that's difficult. As you say, that winning elections is not just doing one campaign or one speech, or they are expecting somebody some miracle to happen. Somebody has to come and do their job and make them win. And that is where the problem is. And that's where even an Aam Aadmi Party is ahead of them from that. They are moving ahead with a strategy, a plan, clearly trying to work on the ground. As I keep saying, Aam Aadmi Party, for despite all the posturing Kejriwal may make, he is really not looking at 2024 to become prime minister. But if he becomes at least the shadow, opponent, he is seen as the runners-up at that time, irrespective of what number of seats he gets or doesn't. Then he makes his scene for the next elections, much stronger, and then by then he would enlarge his footprint.
Even that is so contentious. I was watching Nitish Kumar address the Bihar Assembly, and he just had to make references to 2024. He kind of like grabbed it out of the air and put it in there, like 2024, and I'm here. So you have him, you have Arvind Kejriwal, you have Rahul Gandhi, who will be back in a new avatar. And so I don't know. Not to mention Stalin and all in the south also, who send a huge chunk of seats into parliament.
They will send, but I don't think Stalin will make a pitch for PMship. They will be happy to, whereas people like KCR, as you are saying, they are getting, a little fidgety, and they think they have a chance to rally around the southern states and then stake their claim. Stalin and people in Tamil Nadu, they'll be they would like to protect their bastion, get whatever they want out of the center, have that dynamic equilibrium sort of a relationship. Stalin will do all the curtsies. His finance minister will make the noise, or somebody from somewhere suddenly will say a separate Dravida land, and those sort of things will happen. But I don't think he'll really make a pitch for PMship as yet. And in any case, Stalin can't. His health issues, his age, and everything, and his son would be. It's too premature for him to make that pitch. He has to first take over from him. So anyway, I think we've lost Pallavi. And
We've lost
Day.
Pallavi, and we've discussed this at some length. I think it's just happening with such regularity as well, right? So every time it's becoming less and less shocking. And on some level, I even think that someone in the Congress, or a coterie rather, was probably thinking that this is great.
Yeah, they are, because that ensures the survival of this lot by telling Rahul Gandhi, you're great and these guys, good, you're getting rid of them. It's all fine. It's going to make your journey better. So all of them must be playing that tune. It always happens, even when the stock of the boss is plummeting. There are people around him very few people there to show the mirror. Anyway, it's good for us. It gives us chance to meet up. And
yeah, it does. It surely does. And we'll of course discuss this on the Sunday Club as well when the rest of the cribbers are back. But thank you so much, Sandeep, for joining us again. Thank you to our viewers for their comments, for tuning in, and do like, share, and subscribe with this channel. We shall definitely make an attempt to meet you all more regularly, because we love hearing from you, and thank you for receiving the last show so well, and keeps us inspired. And yeah, that's it. So we'll see you all soon.
Much. Yeah.
Bye.
Great.
Sunday. Bye.